Guys, hello. How are we doing? I'm back with. This is a big one. As we know, the season is going ahead on Saturday. Of course, it is. It starts on Saturday. So, as everyone is doing, it's now my League Two table predictions and where I think people are going to be. I have been watching a couple of people's predictions to get a feel of what other people are thinking. Definitely a shout out to Not the Top 20 podcast. Get it right there. I did look at theirs. I looked at a few others as well. To build a real good selection and thought about what I was going to do. A few of them I was already sort of quite confident on. We'll start from the bottom up. If you do see me looking down, it's because I've got the numbers at the side of me as to what I have chosen in them, why I have chosen them. So we'll start at the bottom place. 24th is Newport County. Now, I've gone for Newport County because they're a good club, but they just seem to be, over the last couple of seasons at least, sort of struggling in and towards the bottom. They just they don't seem to have a good click. I mean, they had obviously last year they had Kyle Hudlin. They had several other notable players. It was kind of like a squad that, well, to be fair, they were poor, and they, as they've been called, they're kind of like the little town in Wales, which Newport are. But I don't think they've recruited all that well. I mean, they got Jordan Wrighton from Grimsby as goalkeeper. They haven't really made any what you call stellar signings or anything that would make you believe they're going to finish any lower than bottom. So unfortunately, or in the bottom half, unfortunately, I put them bottom. So my first team relegated is Newport County. Now, the second bottom team that I've gone for, the team in 23rd, I wasn't sure about this, but I was watching other people and things like this. I've gone for maybe a bit of a surprise, but maybe not so much of a surprise. The team to go down alongside Newport, I put as Shrewsbury Town. I say Shrewsbury rather than Shrewsbury, but and the reason why that is, it's Michael Appleton. I like Michael Appleton, who is gaffer there. But again, they just decide that he's on the slide. He's on the slide, really, and you kind of feel when a team comes down, a team that could go down again. I mean, one stat I did see is that about 12 of the 8 of the 12 teams that's come down in the last 3 years, a majority of them have gone down. That have come down from League One have mainly gone down or finished in the bottom half of the league. And what it is with Shrewsbury is, we could say all teams have decent players, but Shrewsbury is one of the possible weakest teams, probably coming down from League One, and I do expect Shrewsbury to struggle. They need to. Obviously, they had that in their mind controversy back in the last year when obviously Gareth Ainsworth left them for League Two Gillingham right near the end of the season, so that would have stung them. Looks like they have been trying to get over the line when it comes to a takeover, but that doesn't seem to have been coming to fruition, and the squad just doesn't seem to be very cohesive. So I've gone for Shrewsbury to go down now. I think it could be a hangover from last year as well, and I really expect maybe at least one or two of the four teams that went down to struggle again, and Shrewsbury is the one that I think will. In 22nd place, so just avoiding relegation, is I've probably been a little bit cruel here, but then again also not. Harrogate Town. And the reason why I've gone Harrogate, they are one of the best run small clubs in the EFL, really. Obviously, they're a father and son duo. The father obviously owns it, and Simon Weaver is the manager, and his dad is the owner. And I say I could be being a little bit harsh on them. I think they're always going to be, for a majority of the time, a bottom 6 or 7 team. But obviously knowing a few of the players that they have bought in, and such as like Lewis Cass, and obviously they've got Ben Fox there, Bryn Morris there. It's a good stable team there. But I just think with other budgets going around in League Two and other teams, how they're improving, I see them having enough to just about stay up, but I don't see them going down, but I really don't see them really progressing as such. But I think they might get one or two places higher than they did last year if they're lucky. But I think, but 22nd, yeah, it seems a bit harsh. But with some of the other teams in this, no, I think it's quite fair. But Harrogate are third bottom, 22nd in my predictions. Next, Lee Bell and Crewe is 21st, and it's just partly through the feel that you get with Crewe. Talk about a collapse last year. There was a couple of collapses in League Two last year, but Crewe was one of them. The first half of the season they were flowing, they were floating, they were a real good side, but really from January onwards, talk about falling off a cliff. I think they went from 6th and they finished 17th, 18th, 13th I think it was, but it was the way it was done. It was sort of like it was almost a disaster, and obviously looks like people like Omar Bogle are going to be leaving this summer, or pretty close to leaving. A lot of the top players they did have look like they could be on the way out the exit door. What is always spoke about with Crewe is the youth setup, and how they are so good at bringing youth through. I did see this on the Not Top 20 podcast, which was mentioned by the lads on that, saying that they need that even more now, because the overall squad is one of the not one of major strength and worry. I like Crewe as a football club. They're a good club, but it's just, if you look at how they're recruiting at the minute, or struggling to recruit really, you can't really see them doing much, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Crewe down as low as they were. I hope I'm wrong for Crewe, because like I said, they are a very good club. They've always been very good, a very good club when I've been there. But I just, from what I'm seeing come out of Crewe in the way of signings and belief, the club's not together, and you can feel that, or it feels like they're not. So I've got to put them, unfortunately, as low as 21st. I think they'll be fine. They won't go down by any means, but it's just a feeling that you get for certain clubs. And in 20th place, I've gone for Accrington Stanley. Similar place to where they finished last year, to be honest. But they're one of the favourites to go down this year. I don't think they will. I really don't. I think that what they showed at the back end of last year, they haven't changed too much, but what they showed at the back end of last year is a resilience. And fair play to Accrington. I think it could be another tough season for them, but if they can just kind of get a little bit of momentum going. I think maybe I understand why people or bookies are putting them sort of in the relegation bettings and so high favourites wise, but I think Accrington, they're just a team that I just feel that they're. I hate using the term too good to go down, because no one is. But I just feel like they can get that little bit of consistency when you don't expect them to keep them afloat. So 20th for Accrington Stanley for me. 19th, I've gone for Cheltenham. Again, there's not really a great deal about Cheltenham that would give me the thing like they're really going to kick on. I don't feel that with Cheltenham. I feel like it could be a step backwards for them. They're like I said, another very good club, but they just. It might be worrying times for the Cheltenham fans, because they just don't have the quality. I don't believe in attack. The midfield is weak, and it is weak. Could be one of the weakest probably midfields in the division, really. I like their manager. I think that is goes without saying, but I think Cheltenham will. I've got them in 19th. I think they'll stay up, but I don't expect Cheltenham to pull penny trees, and probably the bottom end of the mid-table is about right for them. But again, good club, and they could very well easily look at Bromley. They showed me wrong last year. Any of these teams where I put them could easily prove me wrong, but Cheltenham for me in 19th. Tranmere, I've probably been a little bit harsher on these, because I've got to admit Tranmere and Andy Crosby have. They were amazing at the back end of last year. When Andy Crosby came in, they, in all intents and purposes, they were done. They were toasted, really. And but they turned it around. Andy got them to. One of the biggest things you have to do is become difficult to beat, and that is what Tranmere actually became. I see this probably a season of progression in a lot of ways, but I'm sure they're going to have aspirations, like every club does at the start of the season. We all have aspirations for our team, and I think that again it's probably goals that could scupper Tranmere. It was big last year, when they didn't really, Amari Patrick was their main goal scorer last year. I don't really see them punching too hard, at least in the early weeks, but you never know. With the organisation that Andy's given them, you never ever know. So 18th for me for Tranmere Rovers. Just above them is Bromley. Now, I made probably one of the biggest errors of judgment, really, last year with Bromley. That they did so well last year, and credit to Andy Woodman and his men for that. I know there's talk of Michael Cheek probably maybe wanting to leave Bromley. There's a lot of rumours at the early part of the summer. That seems to have gone away a little bit, but we'll see between now and the end of the window. Bromley, obviously, they're in a great area to use, with boroughs near London and that, to get good youngsters in, good quality youngsters in from places like Chelsea and things like that. They are a good team. But it's the second year. The first year, Bromley definitely were kind of like the unknown quantity in League Two completely. But I just... this year, even though they won't be anywhere near relegation, I don't see that. I think Andy Woodman is too good of a manager for that at the moment. And he'll have his Bromley side determined and focused to do a job, but I just think they will drop off a little bit. It is quite a big drop off. It's about like a 10, like an 8 place drop off. But I think they'll be comfortably in League Two. I don't see them struggling. But I do think there'll be a slight regression from Bromley in this season. But, you never know. Like you said, with any of these predictions, you never ever know. In 16th place, I've gone for Crawley. And the reason why is they're one of these clubs, Crawley, that are very... you can never know what you're going to get from them. I remember playing the season that they went up when Danilo Orsi was there. They were favourites to go down, and they were favourites to drop. And they ended up getting in on the final day. Boy, do I remember that, because they did that against my boys, Grimsby Town. And then obviously Scott Lindsay got them up. Very well done. For that season, made them very, very prolific. I don't feel it this time around, though, for Crawley. They have got some good players. Obviously, one that springs to my mind is Gab Holohan, just for who he is. But they have lost a lot of good players. But to be fair to them, they're going to be a battling side. They're a side that very, very nearly stayed in League One. out of absolutely nowhere. So even though I put them 16th, would it surprise me if they pushed further up the table? Absolutely not. So it's going to be interesting to see how Crawley get on, but I think 16th place for them. Next is another relegated side, Cambridge United. Cambridge, I like Cambridge United. I think Cambridge United as a club are a gem of a football club, really. And they definitely take care of the supporters when they're in there. The stewards, the staffing, it's all a great place to be. When it comes to the recruitment at Cambridge this year, it seems like they don't want to end up doing like a Carlisle. They're trying to be a bit more shrewd in the market. I know Neil Harris is there right now, and formerly, obviously was at Cambridge before. Went back to Millwall. He likes to go back to his old clubs, doesn't he? And I think you've got a couple of solid signings. I saw people talk about, obviously, Cambridge have signed Jake Eastwood, which I know from Grimsby. I think that's a solid keeper, really, for this level. I think, they've got some solid players at Cambridge. Whether it's going to be enough, but I don't know. But Neil is a solid coach. He's a good coach. I think he'll do a good job at Cambridge. He did do the first time round. I think he's going to do this time. Whether they end up pushing into the top end of League Two, I don't know. But I'd put them just sort of in the middle of the lower pack. It's a difficult one, Cambridge, but like I said, they're a good club, a good set of supporters, and I hope they do better. I really do hope they do better than 15th. But again, with some of the clubs in there, you just don't know. So 15th for Cambridge United for me. Into 14th now. We're heading close to the top half, but just outside the top half, these next three, one of them may surprise you. But in 14th, I've gone for Oldham Athletic. And this is a team who, everyone who I've seen do these are full of praise for Oldham Athletic. It's a club that you never wanted to see go out of the league in the first place. One of the very first Premier League teams when the Premier League was formed in 92, 93. And, they've always been a good club. And like people have said, I've also seen, this is not the same Oldham that went down. It isn't. I think they're recruiting well as well for the level that they are. They've got, big, strong defenders like Manny Mont still there. And I think the feel around Oldham is we're on our way back, and you can feel that. I had a lot of joy because I watched their playoff final win, and being a neutral, I was buzzing that they actually were able to get back up. I was delighted for Oldham that they were able to get back up. So, like I said, this is an Oldham Athletic on the up. I put them just below halfway, but with their momentum, it could push them further. So Oldham in 14th for me. Next, in 13th place, I put Fleetwood. Now, Pete Wild is a manager that I like. and I've never took that away from any any time I've spoke about Pete Wild. I like Pete Wild as a manager, and you know, he knows how to get a club going. I think he did it at Halifax. He basically done it when he came into Fleetwood, gradually. Obviously, they did start well last year. They started very well under Charlie Adam, and sort of fell away before Charlie was sacked, and then Pete was brought in. Obviously, again, there's some real good players at Fleetwood. Fleetwood could be a dark horse. I know I've put them in 13th, but they could be a dark horse. They could easily come and cause a lot of teams problems. Obviously, they've got the top assist maker last year with Denver Hume, who signed from fellow League Two side Grimsby. But it'll be interesting to see, because Pete Wild likes playing decent football, good football in fact. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Fleetwood I've put though in 13th, but they might be. They're probably my team as a dark horse. That could break in there and wouldn't surprise me too much. Small club, but a nice club and a good club, Fleetwood. Next is right bang on halfway, as I call this position. And this may surprise some people, but I've gone for Notts County. And why have I gone Notts County in 12th, you say? You look at the quality that they have lost over the summer, especially the big loss of David McGoldrick. Joe Jones, yes, just getting back to fitness. But if you look at their overall attack and their overall thought of like the way they're being run at the moment, I have followed Notts County quite a lot over pre-season, and they've signed former Grimsby striker Martin Patterson as their manager, replacing their former manager. And to be fair, they do not fill me with real big expectations. I think what's happening here now is, I think they're bringing in the system of every sort of decision that Martin makes is going to be scrutinised after games. It's kind of like going into a they're going to be asking them for what did you make this decision for? I think the owners at Notts County, if I'm honest, I think they're getting too much involved in the playing side. When I read their announcement of this statutory sort of, collective that they're being together, I'm thinking, who's making the overall decisions here? It just feels like a committee to me, and if they get it wrong, Martin has to explain why he did what he did, what he did. I'm worried that they're going to be like I said, the owners are going to be too involved, and they don't have the quality they had last year. They don't have the. I don't believe they've got the bite they had last year. I followed them throughout pre-season, and I've seen them. I've seen people that cover the club. They were not happy with the Martin Patterson. A lot of fans didn't seem happy with the Martin Patterson appointment, and it's just a club this year that I can't get behind to finish in the top 6, top 7. You'd think they would, but I just don't see it. I don't think Notts have got the overall quality. I could be very wrong, but when you lose the quality of player that they have lost, like Alex Bass as well, their goalkeeper's gone to Peterborough, and not really replaced it, really. I worry for Notts this year in regards to, I don't think they are going to be able to mount a promotion push. I don't see it, and I think this committee that they're trying to put together, I think they've been too open with this, with what they're planning on doing, and it's not giving good vibes to me, I don't think. But I wish Notts County well, I really do. Like I said, I have a special relationship and connection with Notts County, so I always wish them well, but I just don't feel it. So I'm being fair to them in a way. I'm saying it's going to be a bit of a drop off though. I'm putting them in 12th. In 11th, I have gone for the rock and roll king, shall we say, of League Two. I've gone for Gillingham, and basically, it's because I like Gareth Ainsworth. I think everybody likes Gareth Ainsworth. I think any club in the lower leagues would love to have Gareth Ainsworth as their manager, to be honest. Gillingham, at some certain periods of last year, just looked flat. You know, they had John Coleman for a time. The managers at the beginning of the season, it didn't work. They weren't meshing. They weren't really. I was seeing, vlogs of theirs, looking on social media and things like that. And when I did see Gillingham, a couple of times when they played Grimsby, I did see them. They looked a void of ideas. They really, if they conceded first, they lost more often than not. And there just wasn't enough goals in them either. When Gillingham conceded, you felt like they were going to lose. But again, a very, very good club in Gillingham. A very good set of supporters. They have got some good players at Gillingham. What Gareth was able to do last year is in the brief time that he was there, he did start to make them difficult to beat. They drew a lot of the games. I think they drew 6 of their last 10, I think it was, under Gareth, and winning a couple of those. They were a lot more difficult to beat. Whether they can push on towards the playoffs, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me because it's Gareth Ainsworth. But I'm putting them in 11th because I just still worry about their goal scoring. But, if he can get the same sort of feel that he got at Wickham, they could win the league if they got that. But I think, to be fair to Gillingham, and definitely would be an improvement. I'm putting Gillingham in 11th. Now we head into the top 10 of Sky Bet League 2. And we start in 10th place with all these teams, I think, and maybe a couple lower down, have got the capability of pushing for playoffs. So if you guys are in the playoffs or the top, well, you've all got a chance, I think. I think everyone in, I would probably say the top 14, realistically have a chance of being in the playoff mix. But in 10th, I've gone for Colchester. Under the Cowleys, whether you like the Cowleys or you don't, they are effective duo at this level that they're able to get some real good players. Some people say they use some levels of dark arts, but it works. You know, they very nearly made the playoffs last year as well. It wouldn't surprise me if they pushed again. But just to me, I think not quite enough to make the playoffs again, but will not be far away. And to me, whatever the players are that Colchester end up getting in before the end of the window, you always feel like with the Cowleys they're going to be there or thereabouts. So 10th could easily be higher. Next, I'm going for 9th. I'm going for Salford City and Carl Robinson and Salford City. Why am I putting them just outside the playoff places? Simple. It's basically because of Carl Robinson's record, and it's to do not with players, because they have signed some good players over the summer. Salford. I loved it described by the lads on the Not Top 20. They said about Carl Robinson, and I looked into this a bit more. They're absolutely right. He has this canny ability to either have them just scraping in to the playoffs or just miraculously missing out. Salford are one of these teams that they could have a cracking start and an appalling finish. It's usually in the middle of the season, between probably November and February, that I think stops Salford. If they could get their consistency up, again, there's no reason why they cannot be in that playoff, in those playoff positions. They just missed out last year. They were in 8th. But Carl Robinson's a good gaffer. They've signed well over the summer as well. It's going to be a tricky one, but I'm saying 9th. So 9th for Salford City and Gary Neville in the game. My 8th might cause a bit of surprise. But you know how I called Fleetwood maybe a dark horse? These are my dark horse, and I'll tell you why. I'm going Barrow. And in 8th. One of the reasons why I put Barrow so high, so a lot of people put Barrow sort of in the bottom end or underestimating. We all like the underdog, don't we? We all like the underdog. I think my club was one of the underdogs last year. And Barrow that, I like Andy Wing. I liked Andy Wing when he was at Solihull. He looks like a guy that players want to play for, and that's half the battle. Because I think if you've got that, you've ever heard of the saying, well, everyone knows of the saying that hard work beats talent if talent aren't prepared to work hard. To me, that's what Barrow, I think, may be. And clubs like Fleetwood and that are the same. You know, they're not maybe the most fashionable teams, but you know, he's done some. Andy Wing's done well wherever he's gone as a manager, and they've got some good players that he knows and has played for him. One guy I do want to highlight is Jack Earing, and I say that people are saying that's a bit. Why am I picking out Jack? He's had such bad injury issues. He's one of these guys that if you can get him fit, though, boy, he could, cause some real trickiness for people. Yeah, they've got like an aging squad as well. They just made a signing today, in fact. But I just like Andy Wing, and I just think he's one of these managers that I think you'd want to play for as a player. And yes, they're my true dark horse of this season. And I could be very wrong, but I'm going to go with Barrow to finish just outside the playoff places. So that is, shall we call it, the meat and potato of the league. Now we're going to be heading towards the playoffs and automatic promotion. And a couple of these you're going to be thinking, yeah, you can understand why you've gone that way. And one that a lot of people are really giving praise. Now, I've seen them put them quite high, and I've pretty much done the same. But this is my 7-1. In 7th place, I have gone for, as a Grimsby fan, this pains me, but I like Swindon, and as you can tell, I've just said the name. Swindon Town is the team that I put in 7th. I like Swindon. I think Swindon, they're a good club, they're a good fan base, and whatever my thoughts of Holloway's with his time at Grimsby, what you cannot fault since he came in to Swindon, probably because he battered us Haddocks twice, to be honest. He has got a tune out of Swindon. He really, really does. He likes playing high tempo. He likes playing the crisp football. And you have to give the players credit for that. That they're buying in, and that's all you can ask for a team to do is buy in. And Holloway can be enhancing, but also enraging. But if he gets a team that's believing in what he believes, they could be dangerous. Could they get higher than 7th? Of course they could. But I put them to make the playoff places because of that, the energy they showed last year in 7th. But good luck to Swindon. Like I said, I love the fans of Swindon, and I like the club in general. So 7th place, just making the playoff places, Swindon Town. In 6th, I put my club, Grimsby Town. As you can see, normally behind me, I usually have the Grimsby flag. I don't at the moment because, like I've said in previous video, I'm having some decorating done in that room, so I'm I'm not in there at the minute, but so if you wonder where my Grimsby flag was, that's why you can't see it at the moment. But I've gone for the Mariners, and I didn't want to jump the gun and go, yep, we're going to be top 3, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. We've steadily improved. We finished 9th last year. I've seen a few people put us in the playoffs. I've seen a few people put us maybe just underneath. I know like I said, the not top 20 put us in the same place as last season, 9th. I always believe, especially when I'm talking about my own club, each fan base should have a 3-way system. So it's a dream scenario and a realistic, what you really think will happen, and what you'd accept, and what you absolutely wouldn't. I put us in 6th. Would I take 9th again? What some people put? Yes, at a push. But I think, 6th with what I've seen over pre-season from Grimsby. He's brought in some cracking players, or look cracking players. Jamie Walker from Bradford, James Kabaya from non-league, Jaden Sweeney from Leighton Orient, Christy Pym, very solid League 2 goalkeeper after his release from Mansfield. One of I think the key things is to whether Town make my prediction or make the playoffs or anything. It's Charles Vernon. I've watched him a lot during pre-season, and I've always said, you get Charles Vernon fit as a winger, and he could cause most defences a real trouble. You've got, Darragh Burns has been doing well over pre-season. I could go on and on and on, and it's one of these that I've got to be positive and go, look, we make the playoffs, fantastic. Staunton, Amalazor is another one. The players that Town have got, I think we are still lacking a striker. We do need another striker. Danny Rose may not be fit for the start of the season. Hopefully not too serious, but I saw James Kabaya Cabia in the final pre-season. He took his goal against Peterborough, lovely, absolutely lovely. But I think we need another option up there to try and help Danny Rose out, because he's been our top scorer the last 2 years. And I think, we're probably about 2 or 3 signs away from being, we're probably about 1 real good centre forward from being serious contenders. So I am going 6th for Grimsby Town to make the playoffs. But you've got to be positive when it's your club, isn't it? But like I said, the last couple of years I've been quite fair in my prediction of that. Just above the Mariners, I'm putting Barnet. A lot of people have got a lot of praise for Barnet. I mean, they really are recruiting well. They really look like they know who they are, and Barnet have always been a good club, always a nice club, nice set of supporters as well. I mean, when we took a Marachi band in there, always good sports, but they have an identity, Barnet, and their recruitment shows that as well. Strong recruitment, and Barnet are one of those teams that I wouldn't call them a dark horse. I think there's something a lot of teams would expect to do well. Strange how it's the teams that come down you're expecting to struggle, teams that come up not so much. But I think Barnet are a standout team, and I think they will do well. And fifth place, I don't think that's unfair to other teams. So I'm saying Barnet in fifth. It's going to be an interesting season. Now the top four. I'm going to go fourth, and I am saying Walsall. Now, obviously, Walsall fans are going to be expecting, and you can understand it. You know, they're going to be expecting automatic promotion this year. After, in uncertain terms, they absolutely bottled it. They screwed it up last year. They were absolutely flying towards January last year, and they bottled it. They screwed it up, and there's no other way about it. And they ended up finishing fourth. They didn't sack Matt Sadler. I've put them just above Barnet, but it was difficult because Dean Brennan has done a great job at Barnet, whereas with Walsall, Matt Sadler's done a good job at Walsall for the 2 seasons he's been in charge. Really, I mean, you know, fourth in any other circumstances last year. Take that, making the playoff final and just losing out to Wimbledon. But I have to admit they have made some a couple of impressive signings. One that I'll talk about is Aaron Presley, not because of the not because of the name. He is a real talent and a bit of real quality. They bought some up and coming guys as well from non-league, you know, and their pre-season results seems to have gone very, very strong for them. You know that hope for Walsall fans, you would think they've got hope. They're obviously going to want, the fans are going to want top 3, but I don't see top 3 for Walsall this year. They could even go lower, but I do see a playoff berth for Walsall. Even though I put them in fourth, I do see them being in the top 7 this year. I do. I think all the teams in around it, I think they're going to be exciting teams to watch. I really do. Swindon being one of them, ourselves being one of them. But Walsall, I think, will just miss out on automatic. Would it surprise me? No. But you'll now see why I've gone Walsall just below that. Walsall in fourth. The top 3 I'm going to do in one go. I've gone third, Chesterfield. Second, Bristol Rovers. And top, Milton Keynes Dons. I put MK Dons, I believe it was top last year, and they had an absolute stinker. Finished 19th. I don't see that this time. I really, really don't. I think Paul Warren is there at MK Dons. Bristol Rovers, they've got Darryl Clark. And Paul Cook at Chesterfield, the experience that Paul brings at Chesterfield. The top 3 are the top 3 because I think they're going to have the best squads overall in the division, and it's down to partly the managers in there, and B, it is the recruitment power of what those teams have got. So Chesterfield in third, Bristol Rovers in second, MK Dons to win the league, but it could be any of those three to win the league, really. But I feel like Chesterfield made the playoffs with a load of injuries, and if they can keep fit with the amount of experience as well they've got at this level as well, you're thinking, yeah, they're going to be up there. Bristol Rovers speak for themselves, and I think with Darrell Clarke in there, it's going to give them an absolute boost and could easily see them win the league as well. I am looking forward to one game when Grimsby play Bristol Rovers, because obviously we have the younger McEachran. We have George McEachran coming up against his brother Josh, if that actually does occur, in August. Josh plays for Bristol Rovers, George plays for Town, and but overall you have to look at the Bristol Rovers squad and go, they are going to be a real strong outfit. And I expect MK Dons, like I said they'd win the league. I think Whipple won there. I think they're not going to be a 19th place team again. And yes, it might seem like, it's franchise FC, I get that. But with the recruitment of what MK Dons have done, you can't really put them any other place but first. So, that is my League 2 table predictions. If you aren't a big fan of my predictions and you think I've been wrong or harsh to your team, let me know down below. You just give me your honest opinion. And like I said, these are all just opinions, but I'm going on what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've noticed in the transfer market, and kind of like a feeling that you get from certain clubs as well. It's just let me know what you guys think and where you would put your clubs and all sorts of things down below. It'll be an interesting conversation, this one. Are you happy? Are you not happy with where I put your team? If you're not, my thing is then to any of the teams I put near the bottom, prove me wrong. Bromley did. So prove me wrong. And prove other people wrong if they've put you at bottom as well. But leave your comments down below on what you think. Where do you think your club will finish? If you're a Town fan, where do you think Town will finish? And this has been fun. This has always been fun because it's good to look back at the end of the year and go, how bad was I? And that's probably what, like last year, I was dreadful. I was absolutely dreadful. And I probably will be again, so it's all good. But leave me your thoughts down below, where you think your team is going to be, and whether you think I've made a good prediction, a bad prediction, all sorts. Get your comments in down below. I love hearing them. I love communicating with all you guys that go on the channel. But like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. And also, I'm back with a preview for the first Grimsby game against Crawley. That's coming up later in the week. But in the meantime, guys, like, share, subscribe, comment, tell me how good at predictions I really am, or actually tell me how bad I am, and it's fine, I can take it. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Until then, it's me signing out. I'll see you soon. Ta-da.